Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the voice of hardcore boxing. We say the things that no other channel dare say. So, anyway, I want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing and sharing the videos. I don't think you can share this one, so I'm going to put it on members area. But I want to say a big thank you to members, people who pay the $5.99 every month. For the extra 10 videos, works out less than 60p a video, doesn't it? You can't hire Rocky Free from Video Shop for that, can you, on VHS?
No.
Today I'm joined by Ryan Rowlinson, ex-fighter, ex-professional fighter, and now involved in, you do white collar stuff, and don't you? Promote white collar?
Yeah, got a dabble in it, yeah.
Bit of a dabble. And he's from Rotherham, which is not far from me. And I believe you're related to a couple of good friends of mine, Atkinson family, aren't you, from up there? Russ Atkinson?
I am, yeah. Yep.
Good man. Sorry to hear that. Is it true when Atkinsons go to Skeggy for family holiday that they throw street parties in Rawmarsh?
Get them out of the way.
How have you been, Ryan? I've spoken to you for a while. You've been on the channel before. Are you okay?
Yeah, mate, sound. Bit upset though because I went for my second jab yesterday and it hurt, and they didn't give me a sticker. I was looking down and she had all these stickers on desk, and I asked her for one for being brave, and she won't give me one. She said I was too old.
Oh, they're for kids then, Ryan, I'm afraid.
Well, no, but I thought I were right brave.
Okay. A lot's going on in boxing since we last spoke. White collar seems to have become a bit of a force in industry, and it's causing ripples through boxing. What's your take on it, Ryan? With being an ex-fighter and somebody who had to pay his dues to get where you wanted to get to. What's your take on it all?
It depends which side you look at it from. White collar shows the sense, give the people what aren't good enough to turn pro the chance to get in and do it.
Yeah.
As far as like putting white collar shows on pro shows or people what's only that class, it's a bit naughty, isn't it? It's making a mockery, really, a proper boxing, professional boxing. Yeah. But they're all right for them what do suffer with asthma, or they're just not dedicated enough, but they want to have a good sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What do you think about the Dave Allen situation? There's a strong rumour doing the rounds that he's been refused the board licence. And
so that again, Bruce.
What do you think about the Dave Allen situation? He fights tonight, I believe, doesn't he, against some guitar player in like a white collar event on Fight Zone. But the word doing the rounds is, and it's not confirmed, but he's been refused the border control license. What do you think about
that? I think he should be refused the license. He's never been right since he boxed Ortiz. Ortiz punched him stupid, didn't he? He ended up wearing glasses after that fight. He's got to come out with some kind of brain damage from that, bruising on brain or something. He shouldn't fight again. I mean, you can't retire from boxing saying you don't like getting punched in the face and then want to come back and box. I think if Bo would have refused him his license, it's the correct thing to do. As then, for us putting him on a show in a white collar fight against what I've heard's a YouTuber, I don't know how true that is.
Fights tonight.
Yeah, I think it's silly. I think if Board's refused him a license, then it shouldn't be on no professional show. It should be on a white collar show. I think that's a bit. Yeah, it don't sit right, that one, does it?
No, and what about the people advising him? Obviously, he's got Dennis advising him or in his ear because he's involved with Fight Zone, and they're putting this like white collar thing on Fight Zone tonight. Won't that have a knock-on effect with how Dennis is perceived in boxing as a border control license holder? Because in Dennis putting on a show in Malta that Dave Allen will refuse to get on. Is that this month at some stage? I don't know. It's all it's all, the waters are a bit muddied, aren't they, between white collar now and border
Yeah.
control? Because years ago, if you had anything to do with white collar shows, and you held a license of some significance with a board, they'd just strike you off straight away, wouldn't they? But now it seems.
Well, that's what they did with me.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think the board are becoming a bit tolerant because they just want to keep everybody happy and there isn't a lot of shows going on and they don't want to lose the licenses, license fees, or what's your take on it, Ryan?
I think boxing board of control at this moment in time is very, very weak. They're sort of letting promoters tell them what they're going to do, rather than them putting the foot down and doing it. I mean, if the general public aren't going to understand that, the only your hardcore boxing fans are going to understand Dave Allen's not had a license. So they're used to seeing him on telly. So when they see him on telly, it's no different to them. It's only when you understand boxing and you understand he's no longer got a license, he shouldn't be on telly and he shouldn't be in that ring.
Yeah.
But I think boxing board of control are weak. I mean, some matches I've seen lately. I've seen. I was looking over there in boxing news, a 19-0 kid boxing a kid at 9-0 and stuff like that. And I don't know who's saying yes to these fights, but it's getting a bit crazy. I understand we're in a pandemic and they're trying to get lads work and that, but first and foremost, you've got to think about fighters' safeties and putting a kid in what's never won against a kid what's never lost is dangerous.
Do you mean the Anthony Tomlinson fight, 13-0 against the kid Norton 13-0? Is that the one? Or is this one of them on Dennis's you want to show you on?
I think not against Dennis Light, but I think it went on one of Dennis's shows. I think kid had 19 and won them all or something, and other kid had 9 and lost them all, something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, fights like that shouldn't be going off, and a kid at 19-0 shouldn't be wanting to fight kids at 9-0 and stuff like that. He should be looking forward, not backwards.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you feel that the board are just wanting to pander to promoters just to get work and get the referees and judges and bellmen and themselves back in the limelight and all that? And do you think that promoters are now, they've seen a bit of a chink in armour with board cracks appearing and they're just going to manipulate them? Do you think that's going on?
Yeah, I do. I think because of this pandemic and there's not been no shows, and I think they're turning a blind eye to a lot. I mean, there's a lot of now unlicensed boxers turning to professional boxing. When I went from unlicensed to professional, I had to go. Dave Colwell took me to a boxing show, and I had to sit down in front of quite a few officials there, and they were all women and arguing whether to give me one or not. And then I had to go and have a trial bout and everything just to make sure I was capable. I just think now they're making it too easy for these white collar boxers to then jump on these pro shows.
Did you know there's an influx of people waiting for board medicals now more than ever, even more than in the early 90s at the moment, because there were a big influx in 91, 92, but it's more than double that now, you know, the waiting list. And do you feel that everybody wants to be a boxer now because they've seen what's going on with these YouTube guys trying to muscle in and white collar and things like that?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. What it is as well is, when you've got shows where average Joes are turning from white collar to professional and they're going on these shows and they're winning because they're bringing numpties in from abroad to knock over, they're thinking, well, I've had a couple of unlicensed fights, I can do that. So everybody and the grandmothers wanting to get, there's that many TV channels now, and it's easy to get on TV. Like when I was boxing, there were only about 2 or 3 TV channels, Sky, but it's Santander or something like that. But it come on scene and went bust straight away. And I think ITV. But it's too easy now for them to get on telly. And what it is, there's a lot of boxers out there. They've not even had a fight, and they're self-promoting the sense and getting it all big I am, and they've not even had a fight yet. And they're not starting at bottom and working their way up at all.
Do you feel that sooner or later somebody's going to get hurt?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Law of averages says it's going to happen, doesn't it?
Of course it does. I mean, but professional boxing does have brain scans. Yeah. But in white collar boxing, I used to tell my fighters, go and get a brain scan every year. So it's only the same as professional boxing. You have a brain scan. Same if one of my lads got knocked out, I didn't let him train for 2 weeks and didn't have a fight for a month. So it was exactly the same as pros.
Yeah.
But because the level now has dropped and they're willing to chuck anybody in with anybody, somebody's gonna get seriously hurt, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what do you think is the answer, Ryan?
Where'd you start? I mean, you've got to start with border control, haven't you?
Yeah.
They've got to look at this ends and think, who we get licenses to, who's signing these fights off. That's the main thing. Who's signing fight? Who's matchmaker? Like the drag matchmaker in and said, well, can I tell me why this 35 and 2 is fighting this 120 guy losses? You know what I mean? It's there's got to be every fight. I mean, let's be honest. Every fight you start off with your journeyman, your first 3 or 4 fights, and then from 6 or 7 fights, you should be stepping up. Then, so when you're into your late 20s, early 20s in your fights, you should be fighting your own caliber, not kids still down here. The board's got to look at who's signing fights off and who matchmaker is, and then it's down to the board to say we're not accepting this fight. Because I remember before, but when I was boxing, they were keen as hell. If you lost 5 fights on a row, you got your license took off you. So journeymen were having to go around and fight other journeymen to get a win, and then he'd come to another short week after and beat him just so they had a win on the record.
Jason Barker said that to me. He said if you lost 5 fights back in the day, and I'm not going back that long, you'd be up in front of the board, wouldn't you? You won't be able to
would.
But some of these I've seen, I'm not just digging Dennis out because he's in limelight putting a show on every week. So he's there to be shot at. But I've just seen a guy fight Perry Howe with 36 losses on the trot. And he had 113 losses, this guy, and about 9 or 10 wins. But he'd lost 36 on the trot since previously having a draw. So 113 losses and 36 on the trot. Who's signing off on him to get in with Perry Howe, an undefeated fighter?
No,
that's the recipe for disaster, isn't it?
Yeah, what he foreign, that lad, or he a British fighter? Yeah,
Latvian, I think.
Latvian, yeah. See, there's just Frank Warren's to blame a lot for this, bringing all these Latvians over. He started it off because, I mean, if you look at some of Frank Warren's shows and some matches on there, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. But that fight should never be signed off. A person that signed that fight off needs to answer to somebody, especially if somebody got hurt.
Yeah, but what you've got, once other matchmakers and promoters see that, that Frank Warren had these fights on, are you there, Ryan?
Yeah, 1 second, phone was just ringing. Go on.
Once these matchmakers have seen that, this person's just been on a Frank Warren show, they know that they can go to the board with it then, and the board can't knock them back, because then the matchmaker can say, you just signed off for a Frank Warren show.
That's it.
Why can't you sign him off for my show? It's
floodgates, aren't they?
It's a dangerous precedent to say. Yeah, they've opened floodgates. And like I just said to you, what do you think the answer is? Do you think we need a new board of control? Or do you think these lot need to come out and explain these matchups?
I think we need somebody in charge other than Robert Smith. He makes excuses for a lot. There's been a lot of bad stoppages by refs and decisions where he answers for them. Why not let the referee stand in front of a camera and say why he thought it was like that or why he stopped it, instead of him saying, we'll have him in on next meeting and we'll go through it with him. It needs somebody with a bigger set of gonads than Robert Smith in charge. What's going to say, no, this ain't happening. We've got to change that. We've got to change this.
It's like they're not answerable, isn't it?
Yes. Well, who do the answer to?
Nobody.
Book falls with Robert Smith, and he does odd interviews saying, we'll bring it up at next general meeting. But that's all you ever hear. You don't hear what happened at that general meeting. They don't make it public.
We don't see any minutes from the meetings, do we?
No.
What do you think, Ryan, about the last 12 months, the Board of Control? This is on Company House, has spent over £18,000 a week for a year, upwards of nearly £1 million on expenses. They didn't pay any tax. They just put it all down to expenses. Do you feel that there's a group of them at this Board of Control, it's like a cult, that are just milking it for free travel, free beverage and free room and board, and and all that kind of thing. Do you feel that there's been too much of that going on, the free gratis, and do you think it all needs to stop? Yes or no?
Yes. That money could be put to better uses to helping boxers what retire from boxing or get injured and have to retire. I mean, 9 out of 10 boxers what retire from boxing don't have anything after boxing, and a lot suffer from mental health.
Yeah.
I think that money could go to better uses than where it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Okay, then let's move on from the boxing board of no control. And mismatches and blah blah blah. Let's look at Dereck Chisora's situation. He's just parted company with David Costcutter Hay. What next for Del Boy? He's got 11 losses. He's talking like Scooby-Doo. Is he still at the top of his game, or is he on the slide?
Oh, he's on the slide, isn't he? I mean, he had them 2 good wins, and then he had the 2 losses. I mean, his two wins, he did all right, and against Usyk, he did box all right, and then he got ironed out, didn't he? But he's never going to get no better. He's getting older. You can't physically get any better. At what level is he at? Is it British level? It is a good test for them coming up. I think he's never going to win out. So it's like, does he pack in his earned money, or does he become a good, strong journeyman for people? I just don't know where he goes from here. It's a strange one with him.
Yeah, he didn't get ironed out against Usyk. He lost on points, by the way.
Who did he box after?
Parker.
Who did he?
Parker.
Yeah.
That were points.
Yeah, it's Dillian. I got him confused on with Dillian White. Yeah. So I mean, like them two, he's given him a good run for the money, but he's always been nearly, man. He's never gonna achieve it, is he? So does he drop back down and go for British and Commonwealth, European or something, or?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting moving forward. What happens with Dereck Chisora? He's got a war hat that he likes to wear.
Lay down.
All right then. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. It never happened, and Tyson Fury's had a lot of flack over it. Does Tyson Fury versus Wilder 3 happen in next 2 weeks? Yes or no?
Yes.
You think
the AJ fight with Fury? I did a video on my Facebook. It was never going to happen. They knew it weren't going to happen, and that's why Tyson was out in Las Vegas still partying, because he knew he had longer to his fight than people thought. They knew they weren't fighting AJ. They were just pissing him about and playing with the head. But I think the Wilder fight just does take place, and then I think Fury will probably fight that MMA fighter he's been on about for a lot of money. I honestly don't 100% think AJ fight will ever happen.
No, I don't.
I think it's one of them, bit like a Junior Witter, Ricky Hatton. I just don't think. I think the paths are just they come close, and they've gone their separate ways now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, isn't it? With that, very interesting. Okay then, Billy Joe Saunders, did he quit? Did he quit? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did he have a fractured eye socket? Yes or no?
No.
No. Have you ever seen a fractured eye socket? Will you be the next fighter?
Yes, I've seen quite a few. And again, I did a video myself on my Facebook page. And whenever you see anybody with a broken eye socket, they dab at the eye because the eye goes blurred. They can't see. You get a black spot on that. Not once did he touch his eye. Yes, he had some puffiness on it, and he was all right. And then Ben Davies come into the corner, and I think Ben Davies said, "Listen, pretend you've got an injury. It don't look as bad when you lose." And you could see him on stool saying no when his coach was asking me if he wanted to carry on. He weren't saying no, don't stop it. He was saying no, I don't want to carry on. And he quit. And I don't think he can box again. For simple fact is that he's given that much people that much stick about quitting, and you'd have to kill him in ring and all this. He can't fight again. So he's made this excuse of, if my dad tells me now I've got to retire, I'm going to retire. Behave, man. You quit on your stool, Joe. Just have some balls. You're meant to be a fighting man. Just have some balls and say, listen, I will get my head punched in. I know what. Do you know what I mean? It would just he didn't even get out of second gear, did he, Canelo?
Yeah.
They were just following him around, knowing he was going to land that shot.
Do you feel that it's over now for Billy Joe Saunders?
Yeah, I do. Is like Kell Brook. He's not lived the proper life, and he's not. Although he could have been an elite fighter, he's not. Is a good world fighter. He's not an elite fighter.
Do you feel that Billy had never been in a firefight, and this is the first firefight he'd been in, and he simply he had a mental break, and he just thought, I don't like this. I've never been in this situation before.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why he won't rematch Eubank, because the second half of that fight, he took bitter pasting, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I think he's always swerved Eubank. Eubank's always wanted to fight. And he said, "No, I beat you once, what's the point fighting you again?" You were lucky. He were lucky in that first fight.
When do we see a split decision and they not want to fight again? It was a split decision, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he took some hammer in that fight, and Eubank were coming on strong. And although Eubank is limited and he's not an elite fighter, he has got better and he's fitter than Billy Joe, and I think that's why he never wanted a rematch. Yeah.
What about Billy showing his X-rays and that, Ryan? What do you think to that? Do you think we should have been allowed to see the X-rays from his promoter, Edward Hearn?
Well, I mean, he put a video on Instagram a week after the fight, driving down the road in his Mercedes, and he turned it to his face. Now, I'm not being funny. You have reconstruction on 3 breaks in your eye socket. Your face is going to be out here. There weren't a mark on him. There were nothing. And everybody I've seen, even Kell Brook, when they've had operations on the eye, you can see a little bit of droopiness in eye or something. The one though, a week, 7 days after, and his face is completely normal. I'm not wearing that. And until somebody shows me an X-ray with Billy Joe's name on it and date, I'll put my hands up and say he's lying.
Do you feel that any promoter that wants to put Billy Joe Saunders on another card hasn't got his best interests at heart, or do you think that promoter will know that really he didn't have that injury?
I think deep down promoters will know. I mean, boxing's a very secretive business, as well as there's a lot of telltale and that in there. So I mean, it'll be known in his camp and through various people. Dog, will you get out of there? I think it'll be known that the one on there, really. Yeah.
Okay. Women's boxing, where do you think it's heading now? Do you think it's still a bit of a joke, or do you think it's being took more serious? And what's the answer to these matchups that we keep seeing? Because some of them are just dreadful, aren't they?
I'm a fan of women's boxing, I've got to admit. I am. I think because they think they've got something to prove, they try harder. Some matchups are a bit gnarly, but then again, there ain't as many women boxing to have these better matches, these more 50-50 fights. But I am a fan of boxing. I like watching Terry Harper. Last from Manchester, name's gone out of my head. Who boxed Terry Harper? Well, to be honest, I thought she did win that fight.
Natasha Jonas.
That's it. I did have her 2 rounds up myself, but it one of them kind of fights. It could have gone either way depending what you were looking for. Yeah. But I am a fan, and I agree with what a lot of women are saying. It should be. I believe it should be 3-minute rounds, same as men's.
Yeah. What do you feel about trainers having fighters in their gym failing dope tests? How many dope tests do you think fighters who are being trained by a certain person? We're talking Dominic Ingle. How many more fighters have to fail dope tests before he loses his license?
You see, he should have lost it a long time ago, let's be honest. But it's hard because, like Dom's going to set up board, is once they leave gym, they're out of my control. They don't take anything in gym in front of me. Yeah. So it's like, what kind of what can they set to him, sort of thing. But yeah, I know what you're saying. A lot of his fighters are failing dope tests, and let's be honest, it's not just protein he takes with sizing him either, is it?
No, he's a big lump, isn't he? But
Yeah.
he's a big lump. Do you feel that it's if any fighters nowadays, if they're failing dope test, do you think it should go as a black mark against the trainer?
It's, I don't know. It's an hard one, isn't it? Because, like I said, if the trainer doesn't know and he genuinely doesn't know, I mean, I think Dominic puts his fighters on Winstrel and that. But like say somebody like Jimmy Tibbs or something, if one of his lads, I mean, he's a straight shooter. If one of his lads goes home from gym and starts taking Anavar or Winstrel or Test and he doesn't know, it's a bit of I think what should happen is if a fighter fails a drug test, the trainer should no longer work with that fighter.
Yeah.
Just say, listen, you failed a drug test, let's go separate ways.
Yeah.
And then if it keeps happening, then you've got to look at the trainer.
Yeah. What would happen in football if, say, Jose Mourinho was managing a football team and he had people failing dope tests left, right, and centre? Would he be up in front of FA? He would, wouldn't he?
Yeah, of course he would. Yeah, in football, yeah, definitely. But it's same again. I mean, it's like that they've got to be able to prove that he knew or they knew. But once they leave gym, it's up to them. I mean, there's some trainers out there that I know in past knew the fighters were on gear.
Yeah.
Though I won't name. But yeah, it's an hard one. But like I said, if a trainer gets a black mark side of his name, say I were fighting for you and I failed a drugs test, they should say to you, right, your two's got to split up. And then if you have another fighter and he fails a drug test, they're going to say, well, wait a minute, is that two separate fighters here failing drug tests?
Yeah. All right.
I think that's on its way around that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when if somebody else fails a drug test from Ingle Gym under Dominic's watch, won't it?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think next for Tommy Frank? He's just lost his last two, but technically he's lost his last four. But he's lost his last two on paper. What next for Tommy Frank? Should he retire or should he take the Kyle Youssef fight next month?
Take the Youssef fight. Sorry, I can't say his name.
Kyle Youssef.
Youssef, that's it. If I were him, I'd take that. If I lost, I'd retire. If I won, I'd have a look at things. Maybe change things up a little bit. Although he's a good little boxer, Tommy Frankie, he does lack in power, doesn't he?
Yeah.
If he had some power, because his movement and that's there, but he didn't look the best on his last performance. And at the end of the day, the kid he boxed, everybody has a bogeyman. Maybe that's just his bogeyman, where he just is that fighter he can't beat. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that it'll be hard for Tommy to leave Glyn because he's been there 17 years?
Yeah, because I mean, I get on with Glyn. He's a really nice bloke, and it's like a big family up there, isn't it? And not against Glyn, he's a brilliant guy, but sometimes people need a change. They need a different direction. They need different input. So, could it help Tommy if he moved? Possibly. It could be worse because he's used to being there and doing it that way. The only way to find out is to see if he did move, how he performed.
Yeah. What do you think about the news that Liam Cameron's coming back? He's under 15 stone now and he's running an hour a day. And what do you think about
that? Yeah, he's an all right lad, isn't he? I think the ban he got, what a long one. It's not as though he failed a drug test in ring, was it? But was it just a random?
No, they tested him after his fight with Nick Gentman. And he
right.
Failed for cocaine.
Well, that's a bit. I thought he'd failed like it just a random drug test. I mean, cocaine's not a sport enhancing drug, is it? It's a Friday night drug, so it's not as though they'd have been taking it for any. It's not as though he'd been taking it for any kind of edge in boxing ring. He's obviously been out with lads and had a good night, hasn't he?
What do people take on a Sunday then if cocaine's a Friday?
I think they smoke weed to bring them down from. Yeah, but I mean, it's obviously not. It's not helped him in his training or in his fight or like that, has it? It's something he's done in his spare time, and I should imagine cocaine stays in your system for a long time. So it could have been what 5-6 weeks before that fight when he last had it, or I think he said it got into his system through. Were it going in pubs and handing tickets and money over and stuff like that?
Handling money, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there again, it could be. It could be true because everybody rolls notes up, don't
Yeah.
they?
Okay. Dylan White. What do you think to Dylan White now? Where does he go? Where is he heading?
Who knows? I mean, Dylan White dropped biggest bollock I know in boxing when he got offered so many million to fight Joshua and all titles and refused. I mean, he should have gone to back at Kill then, and then he got iced, didn't he, by a 40-year-old, 42-year-old or something.
Yeah.
Where does he go? Where does he get a look in now? Because top three boys at minute, what's holding everything up? Fury, AJ, and Wilder. Yeah. So where does he fit in that mix? It's all right, him still waiting for a shot at WBC and this, that, and over. But like you've just seen what's happened. They've got a third fight now, Wilder and Fury. Then they're going to go off and sign another. I just don't see him getting a look in. I don't. I think he's just going to be bouncing about, beating second-rate fighters for the rest of his career, to be honest.
Yeah. Okie dokie then. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, Ryan. I think we'll stick this on YouTube actually, because we've still got plenty of time to do the other 7 members videos this month. It's only 8, isn't it? Yeah, we're all right. We'll put this on YouTube then at some point today or tomorrow. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, Ryan. You've been a real tonic and an addition to the Porky Express train. We'll have you on again. What you got planned for the rest of the day?
Just chilling. Just got some tidying up to do. Missus has gone shopping. Dog needs walking. About it.
Go on, lad. All right, then. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, and have a great Thursday, whatever's left of it. All right, my friend.
Yeah, man.
You take care, Ryan.
Take care, Russ. See you later, Paul.
Bye.
Bye.